Literally everything is out of our control.
It just feels different now as a parent more so than anything.
Action alleviates anxiety. Be in flow state, man. How long can we stay in it? As long as we keep creating, we're just like in a happier place. Our brands are being built.
Learn to smile through all the bullshit.
Calm
You learn how to
demeanor.
you learn how to laugh.
Right.
You learn to stay present
Right.
despite the 10,000 fires.
We try to be 80-20, 80% in like the life that you actually want, the life that you are working towards, like
Right.
staying in that zone, like as if that's already happened.
How's it been going so far?
It's been going really good, but it's been hella busy.
Okay.
For sure.
So you're just like constantly going, is it like hour by hour? Do you feel like
That's what
it's
I feel
planned
like.
out?
Yeah. And it's like and that's what I usually try to optimize for that. Like I'm trying to do that, so
Sure.
but then it gets a little overwhelming sometimes, especially
Yeah.
if you miss a few things, then things start to pile up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that becomes an issue.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're constantly on the go,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Even if you are like allotting time to rest,
Mm-hmm.
you know that the rest time is gonna
Right.
come to a close soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Even today, like there was a lot of time for rest so that I could be like more game face in the podcast.
yeah,
But it was very hard to like
actually rest.
Yeah. It was just like my mind was racing, and it was like middle of the day, like I had shit to do. Like
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think your mind? Why couldn't you rest?
there were things that are important for this episode coming into my head. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then there was let me see. And then there was like a few open ending like tasks that I didn't like, that I'm still working on,
So you're like catching up on other shit.
Yeah. And so like those tasks was like annoyingly like appearing in my head,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah.
see, oh, this thing needs to get done and this and that.
Yeah.
And so like it just felt that's the thing, and so like middle of the day that was an issue, and then and then like beginning of the day I was with Rakim. I was taking care of Rakim,
Yeah.
and so it just like kind of like slowed things down in terms of the tasks and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And
Because
so-
you're not starting your day attacking
right
your
right,
to-do list.
right
You're hanging out with your son,
right right
which is a pretty big part of the to-do list,
right
I think.
exactly. Yeah, and so in the afternoon it was hard to rest after all that, like
Sure.
after,
Yeah.
3 hours and this and that. So yeah, that's one of the things.
I see. But so what were the things that you said? Sorry, you said earlier that there were some things you wanted to talk about in this episode.
Sure.
What were the things that came to mind? I'm eager to hear about this because, like, it's definitely something I could apply. I told you, right? Like, the stuff that Miranda put up, like, I directly applied. Like,
Yeah.
that shit was great,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just like I've always been this type of a go kind of guy.
Okay.
And then there has been so many times like where I felt anxiety and just like kind of like wound up because like I was working on so many different things, over the years I felt it, a lot, and I had to overcome it in different ways to learn to deal with it, because
Sure.
I realized at one point like that there's always going to be some sort of stresses, there's always going to be fucking problems. You solve
Yeah.
one problem, that creates another problem,
Yeah.
it's just always a solution cycle,
Yeah, you can't just hope to become free after everything's done.
Yeah. And so that meant that in my present I had to be more grounded, and it just that experience has been happening for me like forever. Like if I've always been a grinder, like I'm always trying to build a brand,
Sure.
always building something,
Yeah.
and so like,
Yeah.
when I look back at my past journals, I see the same shit where it's like overwhelmed with different tasks to do, and there's like fires, being lit, just because like when you are an entrepreneur or like when you're trying to do things, there's fires you got to put out all the time.
When you're trying to own things.
Yeah, when
that's
you're
what's
trying to-
really
yeah.
important.
Absolutely.
Like you're owning your destiny.
Right.
You're writing your own ticket, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's like I'm passionate about that, you know? And so
Yep.
it's always been there.
Yeah.
So when I read my journals, I do see the stresses, the daily anxieties, the feeling of like, fuck, man, I don't know which direction to go. And like, but there's so many things I want to do. And then the, caveat is all the things that are giving that type of pressure or like that overwhelm are the things that I want to do. It's nothing that I don't want to do. You know?
Yeah.
what I mean?
So the only thing that's left to really do is do it, right? Is to go execute.
Right. So it's always, it's like I can't just say, nah, I'm not going to do this.
But it's a lot of shit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you want to do everything right. You don't want to
Yeah.
do anything like fucked up,
Right.
And so it like requires entrepreneurs, like and artists and creatives to like be working long hours, and sometimes that gets like fucking annoying and stressful,
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to deal with it, and so when I look back at my journal entries like more recently, there's like more calmness. There's been a lot going on in my personal life and like
Sure.
work, professional, like everything has been like tested,
Sure.
but there's a level of calmness through it too,
Right.
that
Right.
I see in myself.
That's awesome.
And I think it's just because like I had to work through certain things, But then today, like that's what I was feeling about like this week, But then today,
Mm-hmm.
it was stressful. Like today was stressful, and I felt those same feelings that I felt long ago. And so like the truth is, it's nothing you overcome like permanently. It's something you always continue to work on. Like you continue to work on managing stress
Yeah.
over time.
Exactly. You just become better
never,
at it.
Yeah, you're just never like, oh, I'm stress free
No.
now.
No.
Like it's something you continue to work. And I saw the example today. Like I felt stressed today. Like there was a bunch of things going on, and then there was a time where it peaked today, like where I felt the peak stress. Like fuck.
No. Damn.
And so like I feel like we all face those days. We all have days
course.
where it's just like, what the fuck, And so in those days, it's more important to like apply some skills behind it, and try to like manage the day.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. And so how about you? Like what are some of the, stresses that you've been facing lately?
Shit, man. Damn. There's like, what to pick from? Stresses right now. Let's see. I just lately, and I'm just gonna pick one, which is the state of music and where it's at, and like how I still love making music, but just the way to get out there nowadays and what it takes, the level of commitment it takes on the social media front, as well as things around it, those which are a lot of question marks a lot of the times. It's very stressful. It's very it's a different era that we're living in right now. Now I'm kind of waiting for the Cole album. I really hope the fall off, like I really hope it's all that, because we could really use some real like music, right now. Other than that, like, being a dad, it's
Tell me about that.
that's not
like,
even a
because last week you were
something.
kind of started to tell me a little bit about the about that side of you where
about. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I was just gonna say that like last week you were kind of mentioning that you felt like you couldn't be present, but also feel like you couldn't be as productive either at the same time. Like
Yeah, like okay. So yeah, that like for right now, during those quality time, those blocks of time throughout the day where I should be, having fun with my kid, I'm thinking about work. And that's kind of what I was speaking to on that front. Like that's, I think you hinted at that in the beginning, where your mind just constantly keeps going.
Sure.
And even when you're supposed to be relaxing, you're supposed to be kicking your feet up, maybe reading a book with your kid, or like having lunch or something like that. You're thinking about the next move. You're thinking about the next, thing to do.
Right.
That part, I think, is something that we have to live with as entrepreneurs, as folks that have their own brand, that money never sleeps and you're going to have to work a lot harder than the average person for some time. up until it does get to a place where it's somewhat autonomous and you can just oversee. And hopefully then you can take some longer vacations, you know, with the family. But for right now, being a dad, more so than like the struggle of balancing work and stuff, it's more so about being responsible for a kid and knowing that this person is going to grow up in a world that's completely different from this one that I know right now. You know, you freak yourself out going to sleep at night, like
Right.
those types of things. I find my dreams are more vivid now, so
Wow.
like, you know, it gets a little bit more chaotic when you're sleeping too. But for the most part, I think the lack of control
Mm-hmm.
that I am understanding, you know, that you have in this world, there's very little control. So what we're doing right now is what we can control. There's a few things you can do in this life, you know, that you can actually will yourself into doing. A lot of other things are just going to happen outside of it. And when I look at my kid, I look at, you know, one day she's going to go to school and I am not going to know, you know, what's happening. Like things like that. Even like daycare, that's coming up pretty close for us. And it's just like, oh my God, now I got to think about like these other kids that are going to be interacting with her, you know, and like for right now, like for all intents and purposes, she doesn't really like see any other kids really.
Right.
So we're her social circle.
Same.
And yeah, I would be
Yeah.
lying if I said I wasn't like worried, you know what I mean, about like what's going to happen moving forward.
Right.
As you know, we get, you know, God willing, like we get busier and we do what we want to do. Yeah, there's like only certain things that we can control, and I have to be okay with that. So that's something that I think is like
Yeah.
a stressor, you know.
Right. Yeah. Lack of control, like lack of control just feels, fuels uncertainty, you know, and uncertainty is the biggest reason for anxiety in
Yep.
everybody, you know. It's just like not knowing the future, that uncertain future and that lack of control, you know. And I think as we become adults, we realize more and more how much everything is out of our control, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, during those, and you're absolutely right. Like I feel my anxiety when I feel the lack of control, and then like there are lots of things which are uncertain or up in the air, you know, things that I'm not sure how it's going to close out.
Sure.
Uncertainty, but like it's also important for us to remember and accept that, you know, there's uncertainty there and this lack of control in everything in life. Like literally everything is out of our control, right?
It is, yeah.
And during those times, I think the best thing to do is increase more internal self-control, like internal control, getting a hold of your internal control so that everything else that is out of control like doesn't matter to you anymore, because now you're just controlling yourself,
Yeah.
which actually, you know, which really means increasing discipline. When things are out of control, when there's a lot of uncertainty out there, increase discipline, because with discipline, you feel that feeling of control again.
Like you're doing something.
As if like you have control back, you know?
Sure.
But really you don't, because like you can't control anything else. But
no, yeah.
there is this pride in like controlling yourself, you know?
Right.
And I think that's like one of the main things to do when you're going through anxiety.
So how do you apply discipline? What do you
So
what do you do?
discipline, I would say, is everybody has things they want to do, right? Like there's things you want to do.
Yeah.
What are some of these things you want to do? Like personally, on a personal level, like for example, like things like exercise, things like jogging, things like waking up a little early.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that?
Yeah, so those things that you mentioned, those are great ones. Definitely want to eat better.
Yeah.
You know, I think those are like the generic everybody's, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
what they would want to do. But for me personally, like, yeah, I just want to be able to really get to the next level with this engineering, you know, and like apply these new skills at the next level.
Sure.
And that's really what, you know, is what I'm working towards. And the uncertainty is just, yeah, if you're pushing in the right direction or not, you know, with every day that you're given opportunity. So like, Yeah, that's kind of it right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like in a situation like that, I would suggest like increasing the discipline, self-discipline, so that you feel more at a confident level for the other outer things to fall into place. You know, like, because if internal is good, then everything else starts to fall into place, you know?
Right.
And so like that what you described is the perfect time to like try these, you know, disciplinary, you know, try some of these disciplines, you know what I mean? That you're trying to go for. For example, waking up early, you know, like I feel like you could use like some time to yourself in the morning,
Absolutely.
but it's hard to do that, right?
Man, when you're tired of shit.
So like,
especially-
what if we did like 10 minutes of it?
Right.
Like 10 minutes before, like 7, right? 7
Right.
is usually the time.
Right.
6:50. If you just woke up, stayed in bed, you have earbuds, put them on, just listen to like ocean or something. Just like
Sure.
fucking skip it. Like you could even be half asleep, but like, what if you started by giving yourself that time?
Little bits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow roll it.
Yeah, because I really think like we have to like at our present time we have to like touch the dream that we want. Like
Sure.
we want a future where it's stress like free, or like we have more control over our stresses,
Right.
where we have a calm demeanor, right?
Right. Very much so.
Yeah, and so like that calm demeanor comes from this personal choice of like, I'm gonna do certain things to keep myself at a calm demeanor. Anybody's got like even 10 million in the bank, they have the daily stresses too,
Of course.
you know. And so like, even if people like succeed with their goals and like fucking kill it, you know,
If
crush
not
it,
more, like
Yeah.
they probably are stressing
they're
even more.
So it'll
Right.
always be there. So I think like at present, I think like if you can like employ certain things to like touch the dream, touch that calm demeanor, touch that side of you that's just ideal, that's, you know, like kicking ass, or like self-confident, like ready for
Right.
bigger opportunities outside of you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that helps. You know?
Right. Absolutely.
I think that's something to try.
Noted.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of doing things, really. And I think not doing too much in the beginning to like discourage, you know, and then slowly but surely, like, 10 minutes can go to half hour, which can then go to an hour.
Sure.
And then I can, really like not just wake up and then start, you know, with my kid.
Right.
Whereas like, you get like an hour to yourself in the morning.
Yeah. What if
Big.
you got an hour to yourself in the morning? Wouldn't it be nice to like prioritize yourself as like first thing in the morning? It's
Of course.
your time, you know.
Of course.
Ain't nobody gonna bother me, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's asleep.
No, I think everybody needs that. I think they need to like, and the mornings can't be a go situation. I think that's what makes it tiring. Even like,
Yeah.
even if you don't have a kid, you know, like even when you're waking up like just in time for you to get out of the house, you're not eating breakfast or not like, I don't know, just like taking a nice shower, you know, in the morning, like taking your time with getting ready. Yeah, those stress, it just you start the day off with stress, you know, it tends to snowball.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I think for parents, every parent out there, you know, like feels these feelings, you know.
Sure.
It's such a responsibility, you know. And so I think it is important to like give yourself that time, prioritize yourself,
Yeah.
and then also like meditate, like, you know, do the breathing, you know, like giving yourself that time, like just starting with the 10 minutes is going to change everything.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've got videos that I can send you that are like short, to like, just like you just put it in your ears and just stay in bed a little longer. And it can like really ground everything. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You got to have like actual tools to like deal with like everyday trials and tribulations.
Right. Yeah, my therapist last time was talking about like, so I was telling her that like, you know, when I have these stresses, I don't want to stay in the stress mode
Yeah.
too much, because this is so, you know, it's like the energy that you create, you kind of attract it
Right.
to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Even with this podcast, like I put out like unfiltered content and came like 2 editors, right? Like from the woodworks. It was all DMs. I didn't even reach out for these people. They
Oh, wow.
attracted to us,
Oh, that's
Both
awesome.
of the guys that we're working with.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was just through the DMs. They pitched me like, I'm an editor. Please, man, work with me. And I was like, let's try,
Fire.
So attracted, right? Like we gave out this energy and they came to us, right?
Of course.
And so it's everything is like that in life. So I was like, bro, to my therapist, I was like, when I'm like feeling stressed, I don't want to like express it so much so that like now I'm manifesting more stress in my life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
stress begets more stress, that type of shit.
100%.
And so like, then she told me like, that makes sense. How about like we try to be 80-20, 80% in like the zone of like the life that you actually want, the life that you are working towards, like
Right.
staying in that zone, like as if that's already happened,
Right.
like 80% of the time. 20% of the time, these stresses are always going to be there and they're just going to like gnaw at you, and like 20% of the time dealing with them, 20% of the time feeling it, but like dealing with it,
I see.
but not ignoring it, because if we ignore it, then it'll just come. So, but 80% of the time staying in that manifestation zone, which was really interesting because that means that whatever we dream of in the future, we have to like feel it like it's currently.
Yeah. No, you have to be. You have
It's
to.
like right now.
You have to assume that character.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Right now, and like really believe that.
Yeah.
And so if we believe that, then none of these stresses matter anymore, right?
100%.
Like because the current doesn't matter because we're in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that's like a beautiful thing. And so to touch that dream every other day or so, what I do is I listen to this particular meditation, and I'm not saying you have to do this,
Sure. No.
but this one is like a meditation where I talk to like my future self. I like
Okay. Yeah.
meditate, and it's like it's a guided meditation. So like there's an audio going on.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, it's like a guided meditation. There's like a lady's voice that's talking.
Holy shit.
And so
Okay.
she's like, oh, now you're... anyways, I'm not going to describe it, but yeah, what happens is the premise is you go meet yourself in the future, like 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want. Like
Okay.
imagine like a time.
Right.
And I can literally visualize it where it's like I can see like my future self like all fit, like in the house that I want.
Nice.
And then I talk to him like just imagination. This is imagination land. We're just creating
Sure,
shit, whatever.
Sure. Sure.
I create all these dumbass, crazy conversations, and it's like future self is telling me, "Yeah, bro, keep doing what you're doing. Like it all
at
works
it,
out.
man.
Like look
Yeah.
at this. Look, this is happening. So like,
Right.
I can't wait to see you here. And then I can ask the future self, what is the one thing that worked? And so like that gives me confidence that like what I'm doing right now is coming into that, and so I like try to see that, touch that
Manifest.
dream, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then now the trick is to feel that throughout the whole day. Feel it like all the time. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to that future stuff. Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing all this stuff now and it's coming, And then there's another, sometimes I do that. And then other times what I do is like I do a meditation where I'm seeing myself doing all the work, like doing editing, doing like speaking on stage, like doing the grunt work, the shit work, the things that we don't want to do. All the time, but doing it gracefully, doing it wonderfully,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
like having teams around us, and
enjoying the struggle.
enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see myself doing that, and so like I think that just marries everything. That just, even talking about this calms me down. It just
Good,
makes
man.
me feel like
Right.
relaxed. Like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. Doable.
Yeah.
We're on our way.
Yeah,
Not to freak out about the future.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where like
yeah,
the anxiety is induced. Is
Right.
like you start thinking about the unknown.
right.
Whereas like if you focus in more on
Yeah,
like
internal, like
internal
self,
and
intrinsic.
then seeing it in your head,
Yeah,
kind of dreaming yourself into reality, so to speak.
right. And
Yeah.
then it's important to like not dream too much, like
course, there's a
execute
balance.
behind that.
You gotta do work.
Yeah,
You gotta do
execute
real
behind
work.
that. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like I think these things help, and these things have kept me grounded,
And not having like anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And having like panic attacks.
Sure, right.
Especially with when you're out on somewhat without a tether, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking to like really find a good place to anchor, and like stay, but you're really, as entrepreneurs, like over and over again, you try to figure it out, and in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And even after you have a success, you got to kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, there's more things I want to do. And that's the amazing part about all of this, is that everything that I'm doing right now, everything you're doing right now, it's just things we want to do. These are things we love to do,
Right.
And so like the trick is to figure out how to do them well,
Of course.
how to always like be on it, and how to inspire the creative zone, how to be in flow state, and how long can we stay in it,
Yeah.
because as long as we keep creating, we're just like in a happier place where our brands are being built, everything is happening,
You got to keep outputting.
Yeah, outputting, because that's the part about
keep
creation.
producing.
Like, if you're not outputting, like you're not doing shit. Like if you're a creator, you create.
Then then your anxiety is likely to be
actually that's right. When you're not doing the shit,
like 10.
That's when it's like, fuck, man, I ain't doing shit.
You got to do things, and you can't just sit there. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like nature. Nature helps a lot, I think, to stay grounded.
Going outside.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get some oxygen.
Yeah, honestly, you're right. Like that action alleviates anxiety. Action alleviates anxiety, and I think I figured that out a long time ago. And whenever I've had the most stresses, I go into too much action mode. And sometimes my problem has been in the past, especially I go on overdrive, and then you kind of like you go on overdrive, then you burn out, and then you need a break, that's happened in the past. And I remember like even college was like this. Like college for me was like fucking, it felt like a lot.
Yeah.
Like it felt like there was school, and there was work, there was social groups, there was the fucking everything, and then after college I was also going through like visa stuff, like visa issues, and like trying to figure this out, like because I was like an international student when I was in college, after college I'm working, like there's all these complications and uncertainty with the future, like who knows, like is this gonna work out? You never know. But like all these questions, and so like during those times you don't have any control over visa or nothing,
No.
So it's just like I just worked, I just like focused on like
I'm here right now, like let me do it now.
Yeah. What do we do? Like just calm down and just like focus on the work. And then got burned out and stuff like that. But like I did the same thing in COVID came, and I was just like, I was working a lot. I was just
like reverted back to the hustle. Do something, what I mean, and something's bound to crack.
Right.
And that I appreciate. It's just like, you can't just freak yourself out thinking about things that aren't real.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Whatever
Action
you're doing
makes it like tangible.
Yeah, whatever you're doing right now is real.
Right.
Whatever you're doing right now is actually mattering.
Yeah.
The stuff that's in your head is just in your head.
Yeah.
And I don't think people put enough stock into how much your mindset plays into how you are physically, and how you seem, to other folks, and how you look to other folks.
Right.
So I think, like as you ascend into, different levels of life, the stresses are only going to get bigger and grander. I think you learn to cope with them that much better.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stay grounded.
Learn to smile through all the bullshit.
Calm
learn how to you learn how to laugh.
Right.
You learn to stay present.
Right.
Despite the 10,000 fires, that you constantly have to pull out or put out. So anxiety is something that like it just feels different now as a parent more so than anything, coupling it with what we've normally been doing, because before it's just been us. It's just now there's kids, and I think the stakes are different. And like every word, every move matters more.
Now we gotta like control what we can.
Of course, man.
That's the question to ask in situations, is like, what can I control? Let's see. and then control those things.
Yeah, go for that.
Everything else,
I think I'll like bare minimum. I'll just start cleaning. You know, like just go around and like reorganize stuff. You know, get like the dust off of things. I don't know. Just try to be some kind of productive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Man, cool, bro. Yeah, let's wrap this up.
So sounds good.